Well, howdy there, nerds. I hope you're doing well. As you can see, I'm currently leveling up a very beautiful man, but we'll discuss this a little bit later when it comes to what's happening here. We do have to talk about what has been found in the data recently. So every so often, our good pal Hertzdevil manages to find some things in the data to hint at what's coming for us in Fire Emblem Heroes when it comes to, abilities and what's gonna be there. There's a lot of stuff happening. So, are you ready to take a little bit of a dive into what Hertzdevil found? I'm not going to be covering it all, but I will be covering the ones that are most interesting to me. So, let's start off with the first one, shall we? The first one is, well, SAID, and it literally stands for Close/Distant Counter, Nullify Adaptive Damage. And, well, you can guess what this is. It is a distant counter, or close counter, with the additional benefit of getting rid of any sort of adaptive damage that might target something that is a little bit lower. So, ranged armors and all these other units, ranged units, may have a lot more use out of this than what you would expect. And before anyone starts going, oh my god, does this mean what I think it might mean? I know a lot of you really want distant counter weapons to be refinable, but it does not seem that this is the case. It seems that these are tied to different IDs than what would be on a weapon refine. But it does show that at least we are getting some sort of counter for dragons, although we technically already have that in some regard. I mean, now Julia and those can run, what is it, Mystic Boon without really too much of an issue. I've been seeing a lot of that. Still, this should be beneficial. I'm kind of hoping it's going to be a weapon refine for some distant counter weapons. I mean, but I don't think that's going to happen. According to Hertzdevil, that is not what is the case, and, well, that's just one of the IDs that is in the game. The next one, though, is something I am very, very much interested in when it comes to what is coming to this game. So, we already technically got a check for Veronica. Veronica's in this game, of course, and her staff technically already has a built-in Razzle Dazzle kind of effect. She already has Wrathful Staff, and you probably noticed with Air, she's kind of been a little bit checked now. Wrathful Staff does not activate now when she goes into battle, so therefore Veronica does actually a little bit less damage, and it's beneficial for all of us, I think. However, for those who want to know what's going to be coming to really just mess up the meta, at least when it comes to staff units, you're going to want to pay attention to the next skill. This is skill ID, and it literally says, Nullify no counterattacks, and you can guess what this one does. This one stops things like Razzle Dazzle, like Fire Sweep. So therefore, if, a unit was, like, let's say this blue unit happened to have this effect, and Veronica goes in, he has counter, distant counter in some regard, well then, Veronica's gonna take a hit no matter what. So, I think that's a pretty big boost, honestly. That is an ability that a lot of us have been waiting for. So therefore, now more than ever, you're going to be able to take and make use out of that. And right now, this has been something that's been happening in the meta, is that staff units for the longest time have been kind of ruling the roost. They have been going all over the place. If you happen to have just Razzle Dazzle in any shape or form, you would probably, especially in things like Aether Raids, you would be running into them constantly. Sometimes I would run into teams of just Veronica with 4 dancers, 3 dancers, maybe a team of staff units with a few dancers. So therefore, this is going to be a major benefit to a lot of us, and let's hope that this is not stuck to some character that might not be too useful, or maybe too hard to get. I don't know. It's hard to say. It could, in fact, and I know some of you might be rolling your eyes at this idea, but it may, in fact, be tied to a mythic hero. Or it might be tied to maybe a Christmas or different type of seasonal units. Remember, these are added to the game quite early. So it could be some time before we actually see a skill like this in the game. But as a reminder, for predictions that that our buddy Hertzdevil has actually made, he said that Triangle Attack was coming. It did, in fact, come out. We did have some sort of change with Null Counter, or at least no follow-up attack with our buddy Corrin, and these are some of the other effects that were just found in the game. There are still a few more that I would really just want you guys to go and read, so if you can, go check them out in the description below. He does a great job, and I really just cannot say it enough. But those two in particular are the ones that I'm looking forward to. Seriously, Nullify counterattacks and a buffed up distant and close counter, I think is something we've been kind of waiting for. At least a lot of you have. Hopefully, we actually see some of that in the game, and it's reliably easy to get. I mean, air was the bigger benefit there. But how do you guys feel about some of these abilities that are coming out? Do tell me in the comments below. I would love to hear it. Now, if you don't mind, I need to go back up to leveling up this beautiful, beautiful man and ending this battle here. So, best of luck, guys. See you soon. Go check out Hertzdevil's little video on it. There are a few other things there that, might spike your interest just a little tiny bit.